The classroom is a tomb, silent except for the hum of the air conditioner. It's third period, the afternoon sun baking the linoleum floor. All eyes are on the back row, on Leo. He's 15, with worn-out sneakers and a gaze that's always fixed on the window, as if tracking something far beyond the chain-link fence. Mr. Reynolds, in his crisp button-down and practiced smirk, stands over Leo's desk. He holds up a test. A single, red F bleeds through the paper. Leonard Reynolds says, his voice dripping with false patience. Care to explain this to the class? Or are words also a challenge today? A few nervous titters. Leo doesn't look up. His fingers, stained with ink, trace the grain of the desk. Look at me when I'm speaking to you. Reynolds' tone hardens. He slams the paper down. This isn't just failure. It's an absence of effort. A rejection of the opportunity given to you. He leans in, his shadow swallowing Leo. The room grows hotter, tighter. I've reviewed your file. I've spoken to your previous teachers. The pattern is clear. He turns to the class, a performer with a captive audience. You see, class, success isn't just about intelligence. It's about character, discipline, a certain inherent drive. His eyes slide back to Leo. Some people are simply not built for it. They lack the foundation, the support, the capacity. Leo's jaw tightens. A muscle flickers in his cheek. He finally lifts his eyes. They are not angry. They are deep, old, and unbearably tired. Reynolds sees the look and misinterprets it as defiance. He crosses a line. The air leaves the room. You think your silence is strength? It's ignorance. Let me be clear, so even you can understand. He says it slowly, carving each word into the public record. A black boy with your attitude, your grades, your background, you will never be successful. You hear me? Never. You'll be lucky to graduate. You are a waste of this school's time and resources. The silence that follows is a physical thing. It presses on every eardrum. 30 students freeze, some in shock, some in shame, all looking anywhere but at Leo. Leo himself doesn't move. He just holds that gaze, absorbing the words as they hang in the air. Toxic and final. Mr. Reynolds straightens his tie, a satisfied glint in his eye. He has drawn a line in the sand, and he stands on the side of power. He has no idea what he has just set in motion. The targeting became systematic. Leo was a ghost in the hallway, but in Reynolds' class, he was a spotlighted exhibit. Every missed question was a parade. Every quiet moment was a lack of engagement. Homework, Leo swore he turned in, went missing. Reynolds would call on him for complex readings, then sigh dramatically when he stumbled, telling the class, "This is why you must apply yourselves." The other students, once neutral, began to mirror the teacher's disdain. Leo's isolation was complete. He ate lunch alone on the bleachers, a solitary figure against the green field. He'd pull out a small, battered notebook, scribbling in it furiously. Kids assumed it was doodles, more proof he wasn't paying attention. But there were details, if anyone had cared to look. The worn-out sneakers were always clean. The ink on his fingers wasn't from pens, but from a specific type of fine-tip marker used for detailed schematics. And the notebook wasn't for doodling. One day, after a particularly cruel session where Reynolds made him stand for the entire period as an example of lethargy, a sheet fluttered out. A girl next to him picked it up. It was covered not in notes, but in intricate, beautiful designed circuit boards, engine parts, mathematical equations woven into geometric art. She stared, confused, and handed it back without a word. Leo would arrive early to the empty classroom. He'd sit at his desk, and from his bag, he'd carefully place a small, unassuming device on the floor near the leg of his chair. It looked like a forgotten USB drive or a broken key fob. He'd press it once. A tiny green light would blink, then go steady. Every day. A ritual. The pressure cooker was building. Reynolds, emboldened by his own impunity, decided on a public execution. He announced a week-long project on the foundations of American enterprise. Leo, he declared, would present first. To get the embarrassment over with, the day arrived. Leo stood before the class, his poster board blank. Reynolds smiled from the back of the room. "Well, Leonard, another profound contribution." Leo looked at his empty hands. Then he looked at Reynolds, and for the first time he spoke directly to him, his voice quiet but clear in the silent room. "I'm ready to present." Reynolds waved a hand. "Present what?" "Your stunning lack of preparation." Leo took a deep breath. He reached into his pocket. He pulled out his phone. The class held theirs. This was it. The breaking point. The final, irreversible humiliation. But Leo's thumb hovered over the screen, his eyes locked on Reynolds. He wasn't looking at a teacher. He was looking at a man who had just signed his own professional death warrant. The classroom door swung open with a firm click. Principal Vance stood there, her face a mask of stern gravity. Beside her was a severe-looking woman in a tailored suit, and a man with a school district identification badge. The atmosphere shifted instantly, from a theater of cruelty to a courtroom. "Mr. Reynolds," Principal Vance said, her voice icy. "A word. In the hall. Now." Reynolds' smirk faltered. "I'm in the middle of a presentation. Principal Vance. Leonard is just about to demonstrate his chronic undernow." The word cut the air. The suited woman's eyes were already scanning the room, landing on Leo, then on the teacher. Reynolds, flushed, walked out. The door didn't fully close. The class could hear the low, urgent voices. They heard Reynolds's defensive tone. Then they heard the suit woman's voice, sharp and clear. We have received a formal complaint, backed by extensive evidence, of a sustained pattern of discriminatory harassment and creation of a hostile learning environment. Inside the classroom, Leo slowly put his phone away. He walked to his bag, retrieved the small device from the floor, and placed it on his desk. The green light was still on. In the hall, Reynolds was sputtering. This is outrageous. Evidence. From him. He's a failing student with a discipline file. The suit woman held up a tablet. Audio evidence. 47 separate class sessions. Video documentation of targeted public shaming from 3 separate angles, provided by the student's wearable recording device. Legally permitted as an accommodation for an IEP you deliberately ignored. A log of your statements, including racialized prognostication of failure. She looked at him with pure professional contempt. One question, Mr. Reynolds, did you, or did you not, on September 12th, tell Leonard Mason, in front of his peers, that he, a black boy, would never be successful? The silence from the hallway was absolute. Reynolds had no air. The institution he hid behind had just turned to face him. Principal Vance re-entered the classroom. She looked at Leo, and her expression softened with a profound, ashamed regret. Leonard, she said, your guardian is here. A tall man with sharp glasses and an air of quiet authority entered. He went straight to Leo, placing a hand on his shoulder. Then he addressed the class. My name is David Chen. I am Leo's legal guardian, and the lead patent attorney for Mason Innovations. He paused, letting the name of the renowned tech incubator settle. For the last 6 months, Leo has been the primary designer on a renewable energy microgrid project that our firm is patenting. His doodles are schematics worth millions. He works remotely because this school's advanced STEM curriculum couldn't match his pace. He is not a failing student. He is a genius on a gap year practicum, wishing to experience a typical high school environment. He looked toward the hall, where Reynolds was being handed a letter of immediate suspension, an experience that has now clearly ended. The reckoning was swift, silent, and total. Reynolds was escorted from the building. The system he abused held him accountable. There was no gloating from Leo. He just gathered his things, his worn notebook filled with the future. As he walked out, he paused at the door, looking back at his classmates. They saw him, truly saw him, for the first time. The final shot is not of triumph, but of quiet dignity. Leo's story isn't about revenge. It's a stark reminder. You never know the weight someone carries, or the mountains they have already climbed. The loudest person in the room is often the weakest. True strength is in the silent resilience of those who endure, who document, and who, when the time is right, let the unassailable truth speak for itself. So the next time you see someone being pushed down, remember Leo. Remember that a name is not a diagnosis, a background is not a destiny, and the quiet one in the back row might just be rewriting the world. Have the courage to speak up before the reckoning comes, because it always does.